This is Infection, the survival podcast, recorded live on Tuesday, December 19th, 2017, episode 153. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection's your source for the latest information on survival video games. We bring you the latest news, reviews, updates, and more each and every week. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. You can visit our website, infectionpodcast.com. I'm home for the holidays. That's why you're seeing the old setup, the old background, and we are here with another episode of Infection. I've changed my location, but everything else is still the same. Joining me from all the way across the United States, Brian Aldridge. Hey, Brian.
Hello. Hey, everybody. If you want to find me at Boise Computer on Twitter, or you're more than welcome to go check out my blog, biteoftech.com. Of course, go check out our website, infectionpodcast.com. Links to all of our different ways of getting this. Maybe perhaps for the holidays, you're unable to go catch our live show. And you're having to get the recording after the fact. We have that on YouTube. We have that on podcast form through whatever kind of app you're usually using for podcasts. If we're not on an app that you have happen to be looking at right now, then that means that we haven't submitted or something's wrong. So if there's an app that you think we should be on and we're not, let us know. And then that way we can get the ball rolling on getting that fixed. Also on there, we have our Discord group. So if you're looking for people to play with different games over the holidays, whether it's PUBG, ARC, anything PC, then you're welcome to go click join server on the right-hand side of the website. Nice little green button, easy to do. And then, we got our Twitch link on there, YouTube channel, everything is on there. If you're wanting to perhaps get the Humble Bundle coming up for the monthly, which is going to be a good one. Click support on the left-hand side. You see a little green button that says support the show. And we have a Humble Bundle link there, which helps us out quite a bit. So definitely go check out our website before you go purchase things from Humble Bundle. And we have Amazon links. We don't really talk about that very much. We do have Amazon links for Christmas shopping and things like that. It gives us a little bit of a kickback as well. So I think that's all the self-promotion.
I mean, enough, Brian. Enough with the self-promotion. God, I mean, it's like we're running we're another podcast network here that has 4 minutes of pre-roll ads before they get into their broadcast. I'm up in New York. It's freezing, the frozen tundra, the great Northeast, and we're doing the show from here this week. Of course, we've teased it a couple of times. We did a best of show that's going to air next week that we recorded last week. So that's going to air next Tuesday, the day after Christmas. I believe we spent we spent the entire show on different ways to kind of fund or monetize your game. So hopefully you enjoy that. That'll be out. It's about an hour long, and that'll be out next Tuesday. It's not going to be streamed live. It'll just be put up on YouTube probably sometime Tuesday afternoon. So that'll be episode 154, and then the plan is I will be back in North Carolina for 155, and we'll have our normal setup as we're kind of a bare bones setup here, but you couldn't really tell. I mean, when I set this up originally, this double box shot, Brian, I had us totally flipped. And luckily I looked at the shot and saw, hey, I'm not Brian Aldridge and you are not Nick Craig. So other than that, how the heck are you, Brian, as we're sitting here just, I believe we're 6 days from Christmas. Exciting time of the year. Everybody's getting home.
I still haven't got my wife a gift.
I mean, Brian,
I know what
I'm not married. Brian, I'm not married, but I'm just going to say you should probably get on that.
Yeah, well, I've been harassing her because I want to get her something good. She actually wants.
We're a media company, so harassment's okay. That's fine.
Yeah, so I've been saying, hey, what do you want for Christmas? What do you want for Christmas? And it's always, I don't know, because the thing is if we want something, we get it. That's kind of a bad habit, right?
Yeah, it is a horrible habit, but yes.
Yeah, so if we want something, we get it, and so there's not that thing of, oh, I wish I could have that. So finally I got her to say some things that she'd like. So I'm going to go tomorrow and pick those things up.
I mean, if I had to guess, Brian, if I was buying a Christmas present for your wife, and this is what I'd be getting her right here, a wonderful PlayStation 4 That's what I'd be doing.
The thing is that she likes to play games with me. It's not.
That's fine.
I can't get it. So because with my shoulder, I can only play so long, right? I mean, I can play, but it just irritates my shoulder. So, I just I've been like, hey, why don't you play some Rocket League and I'll watch, and it lets me relax, put a heat pad on my shoulder. Yeah. So she'll play Rocket League and she's pro level now on it.
Oh, good.
It's pretty ridiculous. Plays all the time.
That's legit. Yes, of course, if you're coming up to Christmas, as Brian mentioned, you can buy stuff on the website using our affiliate link, and that helps us out tremendously. It really, really does. So if you're purchasing on Amazon, we'd greatly appreciate you using that link. Other than that, let's see. What was game of the week? I was traveling. I had a 13-and-a-half-hour drive Friday, so I unfortunately missed game of the week. What did you guys play?
All right, so this week we played PUBG Test.
Okay, how'd that go?
So this was the new
map,
desert map is what they're calling it, which is kind of a southwest type of a feel for anywhere in the Southwest United States.
Yeah, and
for personally, my experience was really bad with it because it just crashed.
Okay,
I was able to finally get into a game eventually. So I got like 1 or 2 games in, but for the most part, it just crashed every time it would launch. And it took me most of the game night just finally to get it running. So I got a couple games in and then I died to a glitch where it thought I was falling and I died.
Sounds like you're playing King of the Kill.
Yeah. So there's definitely issues with that map. And when are they releasing?
Version 1 is like next week.
Now they're not going to be considering the desert map.
No.
Final version 1, right? That's just going to be in general the game, and then they're going to continue working on the desert map.
Correct.
I assume.
All I know is that
because the desert map definitely is not ready, or that client. My worry is that client. The fact that it crashed on me so much just to finally get it running.
Mm-hmm.
That's the version 1.0 test that they're supposedly going live with.
Yeah, that could be an issue. Now, I'm not carrying the PUBG, as everybody's familiar. As Grizzly Bear is saying, tomorrow is actually 1.0. So it's soon. Tomorrow.
Well, that's scary.
It is scary. I don't carry water for PUBG. I don't carry water for any game. But to their defense, that client may be using servers that are not up to capacity like the regular servers. And as we saw with current players,
the actual client itself was crashing before I got to the menu.
Ooh, okay, that's a new one.
So on load, before it would get to the menu, the whole client would crash out.
Interesting.
That's my concern about that kind of instability. It wasn't the issue of connecting to the server or anything like that. Like the whole PUBG client itself for me was crashing over and over and over again. I tried verifying files. It said everything was good. Did a fresh install. It said everything was good. And then finally I got it to work. And I think what I did was reset the settings or something through the NVIDIA control panel, because I think it was trying to load video settings that were not compatible. And
that's odd.
I reset through the NVIDIA panel, which lets you do recommended settings or whatever. And then that let me finally connect in. But most people aren't going to probably figure out to do that. So what are they going to do? I'm assuming this is a bug that they know about and hopefully they'll see and work on. But that's kind of a concern when supposedly tomorrow is release and you're having issues like that. And that was a totally fresh install. So, and I've never installed the test server before like that, that test server. So there's no leftover settings for me. So that's an issue.
Absolutely. And I guess between your play, which was last week, and when I played 2 weeks ago now, we didn't have any client crashes. We did have issues with the servers, and we attributed that to just I don't remember. I said it last week, 150,000 people playing the test version of the game.
On test, yeah.
Didn't experience your issue. So clearly they've done some type of... Now, okay, so you obviously had that issue. There was a group of other people playing as well. Were they experiencing the same issues, or was this more just isolated to you?
I know some people were complaining about rubber banding.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there were issues like that, but I
People
got
were
into so
crashing?
few games. I think one other person was having some crashing issues,
Okay.
and the rest of them were able to get in. So one other person had crashing issues. I don't know if it was, if I remember correctly, it was possibly at the same place. Like they were having initial troubles trying to get it to load, and then they were able to get in. I think once you get in the first time, it seems to fix the issue to where you can get in every time. So Green Man's saying he had issues.
Gotcha. Well, at least
I mean, so my issue is Friday. This was Friday, and today's Tuesday, and it's releasing tomorrow. That
could be an issue.
Out of alpha.
Correct.
Out of alpha tomorrow.
Yes. No more alpha,
Craziness
bro.
to me.
No more alpha, bro.
Yeah.
Did you have a flashback to like the old G29 days? Is that what it kind of felt like, where the game would just constantly close and crash out?
Well, except for there was like no message, and I made sure every time that I sent them a report, because my concern is if this is happening, you want them to know about it.
Yeah.
Don't just close it. But my concern is how quickly can they fix this? And is it a problem that they understand? Like, okay, this is the problem. Here's what we're going to do to correct this problem. With the G29 errors, I mean, that was all their back end. This gave no hint that it was back end. This just acted like there was an issue with the client itself and it was crashing. So I don't know. Like, it's kind of scary. So I saw some flack, people on Twitter giving Brandon flack about, optimize your game and things like that.
Are you referencing the Instagram post?
Yes. Yeah. So I'm concerned. Because right now they had a lot of public support up until now.
Yeah.
A lot of people all on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
But I think that can change. And I think if it continues to where there's crashing and like they're out of alpha and it's still not optimized, I think that people are going to possibly turn on them. I'm not saying here's a prediction, but I just feel like they could really turn on the company, and all that support that they gained could go away. And we've seen it with other games. It's not a guarantee. Just because everybody's playing your game today, a few poor decisions or things that maybe aren't even decisions, but just something not getting taken care of can turn that sentiment around very quickly.
They do have to be very careful.
I think they're in a dangerous place right now.
They're in the danger zone.
I think they're right. I think they're at the edge of, okay, people excuse because it's a new game for a period of time. But when you push and say, we're out of alpha now, we're going to console, we're stable, we're putting out all this new content for like maps and things like that. But they haven't done that beginning part. I think that they could really have people turn on them when you had that it's alpha bro. I mean, H1Z1 had the exact same thing for a long time. It's alpha, it's fine that it does this. It's alpha, you could expect it to do this. Okay, but 3.5 years later, do we still expect it to do this? No. And so my concern is right now, because they're pushing out of alpha and there's a lot of people really upset with they're really upset with just the way that the game runs at times or issues that come up. I think that they're kind of walking a fine line at the moment. So I'm curious where it's going to go, and how it's going to affect them and how they're going to respond to it. Because I think they really are going to have to come back with something.
So I think at this point that they're treading water isn't the right word, because when you say treading water, you're indicating that there is major issues that somehow they're just able to keep their head above the water line. They're swimming.
I mean, I think they're threading the needle right now. I think for them to have, I guess threading the needle might be a better analogy.
Better
because
analogy.
There's something that they need to do that's very specific to make this not blow up in their face. And if they keep on, getting close and almost fixing it, but not quite fixing it, like when you're threading a needle, you're either doing it or it's not done at all. And like, if they can't get it done, then I think that they have a big chance that this could blow up in their face and they could lose a lot of that progress that they've made right now. Because I know they really want to be the platform game, But the thing is, to be the platform, you have to have incredible stability and you have to have optimization. Not worrying so much about all these other things, the polish or the map and all this stuff. That's not platform. If they're talking about platform and that's what they want to be, they need to polish it as far as performance and getting it to where it's optimized.
Okay, so I will say, and this is just a fact because this is how humans are, people will overlook issues like optimization and crashing for really cool features. And I think at this point in time, they have been able to push out so many cool things on such a consistent basis that people have overlooked some of the game's downfalls, like optimization. It's the biggest one, Brian, with Ark, literally for over a year, we talked about optimization. That game was, I mean, literally, when we played Ark on that public server, you would load up the game, connect to the server, go somewhere, make a coffee, go to the bathroom, drink half of the coffee, come back, and then finally load into the server. That's maybe a little bit exaggerating, but it was a very long process to get the game opened and loaded into a server. Sometimes a 10 or 15-minute process if you had any issues along the way. And fortunately, SPH, you could take a shower. Fortunately, I should say, PUBG isn't at that point. But there's going to be a point where people are going to say, all right, the game needs to be stable. And we don't know what they're releasing tomorrow. What you played on the test server Friday might not be what is released to the public tomorrow, which will be Wednesday, December 20th.
It may be more stable. There may be some, something they're doing differently. And so that's not the final
build.
But the thing is if it is, and a quarter of the people are crashing, like that's going to really harm them as far as the launch. I mean, we've seen some failed launches, especially recently, just launches that didn't happen. And so I just think that just like Ark had a really quick, with the whole scorched earth thing, a very quick turnaround in public sentiment, and their Steam rating was just instantly hammered.
Yeah.
I think you could have the kind of a similar outrage with this, to where people are just mad at it. I mean, the internet likes to get mad for random reasons.
Yeah, case in point. I mean, browse Reddit any day of the week. But I do agree with you, without talking about this build, because we have no idea what's coming out, but just saying in general, I mean, PUBG is one misstep, one bad decision away from being public enemy number one. We saw it with the Star Wars game, with EA, the most disliked post on Reddit. You saw picture after picture of store shelves while a whole bunch of other games were sold out, just rows and racks of Battlefront. They will become public enemy number one real quick if there's a major issue like like version 1.0 of the game where a quarter of the people are crashing. Now, luckily for them, they've got such a player base that they can afford some of that. If they had 100,000 people playing, that's a tougher thing. You take 100,000 and cut that down to 70,000 plus bad PR. That's a big deal. But you're talking 3 million players. I mean, you could lose.
And I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong. I mean, I'm not looking at something and saying, "Oh, I hate this about what they're doing." I don't think they're doing anything wrong, but I just think that they're kind of as I said, at a point where if it doesn't get turned around, people are going to start to look at them the same way there was that really slow transition with Daybreak. I mean, for us, it was fairly quick, but for some people, like, they just kept holding on hope. And with here, if they continue to put out content and keep ahead of it, like you said, they put out this new map. All right, they're doing something. It's not gone stale. And as long as they continue that pace of, this may not be perfect, but we're continuing to form and develop. I don't get the whole coming out of alpha thing. I don't get the point of that.
No,
I don't know why they're doing it. First of all.
Well, I can tell you why they're doing it. And if I just had to guess, I have no inside information. I'm not trying to piss anybody off. No inside baseball here. They are probably going to do some type of paid addition to the game. And the only way to do it. And they
saw what happened with Ark, and they're trying to avoid that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And again, I'm not blaming them for if they want to do here's the thing. Anybody that has played any significant amount of time in PUBG has gotten their money's worth time and time and time again. Same way with Ark. If you've played Ark for any substantial amount of time, you've gotten your, what's that game? $40. It was $40 or whatever, $39. You've gotten your money's worth. I don't care if they do a paid DLC or whatever. So, that may be one of the reasons, because we did, again, saw what happened with Ark. It was an utter disaster. Steam rating tanked. People were running around with pitchforks, calling for the heads of the developers. People get really, really upset about that stuff. So that could be a reason. They did say that they were going to be out of early access in, I don't remember the number. Well, when the game came out, they made it clear that they were not going to be doing some stupid thing that kind of limbos in early access forever. There was actually going to be a final product. Same thing we saw with Conan. Conan is releasing. We talked about that, I think, 2 weeks ago, maybe last week. They said they were going to release from early access. They are now releasing from early access. The thing, Brian, that I think pisses you off, that pisses me off, is everything's going to stay the same. They're going to be out of early access, out of alpha, but the updates are still going to be the same schedule. The game is still going to have its issues from time to time. Nothing really changes besides saying we're out of early access. Hey, it's just a word. It doesn't mean anything. Nothing is actually changing, which is just stupid.
I don't know what it's not like they had a line saying, once we hit this line, then we're coming out of alpha. I don't see anything that they've done recently, unless that line was having the vaulting, which that's not really a come out of alpha landmark, releasing the new map, which isn't done yet. I just don't know what there is that they could have said, here's something we've accomplished. Now we're coming out of alpha, because from the time that they kind of announced this, there hasn't been any major, they've redid the UI in this test. So there's a better UI
and it's pretty.
Yeah. But as far as the client itself, it seems like it's very much the same as before. I think they may have updated the Unreal version, and I don't know if maybe that's some of the stability thing that they're still figuring out. But I think with this recent one, they're actually on the latest version of Unreal. So that may be why the clients are so much different. The test client versus the live client is just the fact that changed. There's a whole new version that they built out for this. So there may be some weird little glitches they're figuring out and trying to get straightened out with some code. So
now
could be very possible.
Mentions, I don't particularly remember this, but I'll take his word on it. He says that Brandon promised to release the game before 2018. That's why it's somewhat rushed. That's probably very true. So, this is my whole thing with it. It's just saying, it's just a word. It doesn't mean anything. Nothing is going to change. They're still going to do their, what do they do now? They do monthly, content updates and like they try to do a fix or a patch a week. That's kind of, I think, the schedule. Everything pretty much is going to stay the same, I think. So, who knows? Who knows what's going to change here? Personally, I don't really care because it doesn't really mean anything. Same thing with Conan. Same thing with Ark. When Ark launched, it was literally the exact same thing. We would literally, changed. If you go back to our show notes, you can look at the version they updated. They didn't even start changing the numbers, and then since then, Brian, we've got 15 Ark updates today. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 Ark updates. This is a game that is released, finished, version 1.0. And I'm not saying that to bash Ark, because they should be doing updates, but this is exactly this looks like what it did during early access. And that's what's so frustrating to me is what does release mean? When I think of release, for example, a game like Call of Duty or Battlefield, when that game is released, they aren't doing major updates to the game, major bug fixes and stuff. They do little incremental things. They'll do events. Look at Overwatch, for example. They're not doing 11 patches in a week, because there's not 11 things to patch in a week, because the game is at a point where it is truly finished and done. And none of these games are at that point. And I'm not bashing them for not being done, but what the hell does this mean? Like, what the word is useless. What does it mean when your early access game comes out of version 1.0? It's not optimized, and you're going to continue doing the same bug and performance fixes that you've been doing for the last 8 months. I mean, what is the difference? Just why not stay in early access? It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, I think that right now, I mean, I think the whole early access phrasing and hype that was behind it, I think that's past. Because remember, everything was early access. There was no beta anymore.
Yeah.
I think that he kind of realizes that early access is no longer this, I get in on this on early access. Like,
Yeah.
it meant something. Yeah, I think the term now is just totally meaningless. And it could be just, he's like, well, okay, well, forget about early access. We don't care. Like, we're not selling copies anymore because of early access, when a lot of them were 2 years ago. And so it could be just, he's like, we'll go to a number, and, the game's out. We'll just keep on fixing it. I mean, it doesn't change the end result of what's happening or how the game's worked on. It's still
absolutely.
just, it's just, I think it's just, we're not going to see early access as much. Like, I think people are frustrated. There's been so many fails in early access that it's getting that poor kind of association that you get when you hear a word. Like, early access now is like, okay, well, that means that probably it'll never be released for 80% of the games.
Well, speaking of games that are failing in early access, Brian, you just lobbed me that softball. I saw this come across the wire today. Maybe it was last night. The Culling, the development of the Culling has come to a stop. Now, Brian, we saw the Culling at PAX in March, did we not?
Yes. So I did an interview with them.
Yeah.
And they were talking about, I don't know if we posted, I don't remember if we posted that one.
I think we did.
But I did an interview with them, and they were talking about all this new content, and like that it was still like they had all this stuff that they're working on, a lot of hope in it. And that this is, I remember I had mentioned my experience right before we went to PAX of playing the Culling, and just talking about how horrible the player movements were, the combat system was just horrible. And so I'd mentioned that on the show beforehand. Then we went and did an interview, and so I didn't really say what I thought of their game to them, but they were just talking about how they were doing all this stuff coming up. And so I think that they realized they kept on redoing the combat system, and I think they never got that right. And so it was a really painful game to play.
Yeah. So the quote here is that after more than 2 years dedicated to making the Culling, it's time to announce that they're working on a new title. Their team is now 20 developers, and that means that they're moving their entire focus onto a new project. So there are no future updates planned for the Culling. They do say that the servers, which the big issue is that they literally could not fill a full game. They do say the servers are going to be staying online for, quote, the foreseeable future. And the game and the PC Game article says, so the 15 of you who are currently playing will be able to continue to do so. Seriously, it's 15. So that's interesting. And I'm pulling up this.
Why wouldn't they release this to, like, just be a free to play game?
I don't know. It's a good question, because all of that work's essentially gone, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, if they're not going to be selling it anymore, it's only for people that have it existing, and then they'll keep up one server for this. I mean, if they wanted this to actually be something that promotes their studio, or they have any hope in it, the thing is why keep up the server if you're not going to do bug fixes and things on it?
There are currently 9 people playing. The 24-hour peak is 17, and the all-time peak is 12,000. They had a pretty extensive booth at PAX, but I do remember now, Brian, that they were with somebody else. I believe it was Corsair.
Yes. So we went there, and we had seen, this is the one where we walked by, and I said, is this, and I don't remember what game I had asked if it was. And we're like, no, that's the Culling. And then they were there at that booth. So they gave us an interview. So I mean, it's too bad, but the thing is it was a good concept. It was just not executed properly. Playing that game was just so frustrating trying, because they had the system where you'd push off of somebody. So you could sit there, and if both people knew what they were doing, you just sit there and like push off of each other forever, and you could never get a hit in. I mean, just a really weird combat system. I went in there and I couldn't hit anybody because I didn't know the system where, okay, you push it this second and then you hit. You push it this. It was just a really wonky system.
Hmm.
And it was impossible to miss. Like, or, you could not hit them if they did the push. So it was a guaranteed miss. Like there was no randomness to it at all. So people would just get to where they knew to push it then, and you would never actually be able to hit the person. So
of course, as you know, I'm, Mr. Johnny on the spot here. Luckily I'm on my laptop, so I do have this stock footage that we took, and this video, I believe, what is done. I've got all the files for it. So here's some gameplay that we took here at PAX this was March of this year. So here's some footage of the game. This guy, I believe, just gets killed trying to run through the safe zone. But yeah, that's the culling.
Yes.
Which is
so
unfortunate.
Anyways, yeah, that's too bad. But I wish they would consider just making it free to play. I mean, if they're going to continue anything, they might as well just either shut it totally down, or if they're supposedly keeping it up, which means they need to be doing some sort of updates to it as far as making sure that it doesn't crash, make sure it's not being hacked as far as people's accounts being compromised, any of that stuff. They have to be doing some maintenance to it. If so, make it free to play and then have hats. Have something, have some sort of the skins that people can get and let people play, because you'll get more sales than the 0 that you're going to be getting from here on out.
So. No, you're absolutely right. And I do think going to a free-to-play model, just opening up the whole platform. Now, the reason they're not opening the platform is they're probably going to use most of the Culling's code for this new project they're working on. If I had to guess, they're probably going to not all of it, but a significant amount of it. So that's why they wouldn't want to open that code up, because they'd essentially be giving away 2 years worth of work. So I understand that, but I don't like the foreseeable future text, because that doesn't mean a damn thing. I'm just not a fan of that. So, it is.
I mean, it's got to be the point. I can't imagine waiting for a lobby on that.
They never start. 9 people. You need 16 to start a game, I believe.
So I don't know what people are doing. That's craziness.
I don't even know why 9 people have it open. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. You literally, you will literally not play.
Yeah. So it's probably just, because there was 12,000 whatever people that have played it
all
so
time.
It's very possible that just happens to be 9 people that have launched it, realized that the game doesn't work, and then are closing it. Like nobody's actually playing. And if so, why keep the server open?
Well, nobody is playing, and that's the problem. And that's what doesn't make any sense is the PC Gamer article mentions, and then I think Donnie and Falcon in chat were talking about it. Literally, the lobbies were not starting because there were not enough people to start a game. So I would just axe the project off and call it a day, and just say, hey, this is what's so stupid, Brian. I don't know about you. I'm not going to speak for you. People are so unwilling to admit failure.
Yeah.
Why can't these developers just come out and say, we failed? We failed. We thought we had a great concept. I want to thank everybody that purchased the game and played it. Thanks to everybody that has helped us throughout this thing. But we failed, and we're going to move on to a new project. Why keep it alive at all? Just kill the servers and call it a day, and give everybody that owns the game 50% off your new title. That would be more than acceptable for me.
Yeah.
Just, hey, we failed. Call it. But why? They're going to continue spending money on servers. They're still from time to time going to do little tweaks to the game.
Carry forward.
What'd you say?
They're worried that the next title that will carry forward, and they'll be like, well, if they failed on this one, there's a chance. They don't want that on their reputation. They don't want that in a future job interview being associated with a failure.
Well, I disagree, because I like people that fail. Honest to God, I like people that can admit I failed. We failed.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying this to be mean or negative or bad. The game is a failure. Nobody is playing it. That's okay. You're in the early access space. Things fail. I've done 40 podcasts, Brian. I'm currently doing one of them. All of the other ones have failed. Nobody listened to them. I have no problem admitting that. Their reputation is already gone because nobody's going to buy their next game based off the culling with 9 people playing it. So I just like the idea of cutting it cold turkey, getting rid of all the servers, make sure that nobody ever in that company again works on the culling, because with servers staying up, you're still going to have at least a couple of people that from time to time make little changes or modifications to the game.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. So just get rid of it. It seems like, it just seems like the simple solution.
It could be a PR thing at the moment. I mean, I'm assuming there's a point where they will say, all right, games aren't launching. We're just going to close it down. Or it might be a quiet thing. It might be like a soft fail that they're doing to where they just shut it down and don't announce it to the news. Right now they're saying, oh, it's still up, for people who purchased it. So people don't come back and say, I want a refund because you sold me a game that doesn't work anymore. And here, it could be that these guys are like, okay, well, here in a month, we'll just shut it down. No one's going to notice. And then it's not going to be a big deal on the internet.
I can't do this because I literally showed that culling video and damn near crashed the broadcast. Can you pull up Steam? Can you still purchase the game? I would assume you can. Which, if you can still purchase this game, then these developers they got another thing coming.
Yeah, it says $24.99.
Why is it still available to buy? They literally have announced they're going to stop development on it. Pull it off the Steam store.
Yep, $24.99.
Somebody is going to buy this game not knowing that the game
ratings is mostly negative at this point.
Somebody is going to buy this game not knowing that literally nobody is playing it, and then they have the right to be pissed.
Yeah.
So no Firebomb. You can still.
It was released on October 5th, so of this year, is what it says.
That's when it came into early access. It was in beta for a while.
Or alpha.
Yeah, because we played it in alpha packs.
Yeah. So it said the release that it shows on Steam itself is just 2 months ago.
Yeah, it did. It did just come out in because it was on. That's the Steam page because it was on I believe they did a Kickstarter.
Yeah, I don't remember how we played it the first time.
I don't remember either, but we had it. They were demoing it at PAX, and they were actually pretty popular at PAX. I remember there being a lot of. I believe we were going to play a game, but we didn't because we were so busy running around with interviews. We didn't have time to just kind of wait for the next game to start, which is now kind of ironic that they literally couldn't start a game. But it's a shame. But luckily, the development clearly they made enough money that they were able to hire some more developers, and that hopefully they've learned from the culling, and then their next game will be even better. And it
wasn't horrible level design. I mean, it wasn't a horrible game, and if they can figure out combat systems, because I mean everything else is pretty much there. I mean, it's like a close. But it just wasn't quite on, and they couldn't compete. I mean, I think in the article they mentioned PUBG, like they can't compete in this kind of Hunger Games type of arena when a game like PUBG comes in and just pretty much takes all of the players.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that reminds me, I mean, we can kind of roll into the Islands of Nine. This is one that I mentioned with Kickstarter. I kickstarted these guys before PUBG was out, and they just recently kind of gave it some time because I think they had the kind of the wind knocked out of their sails with PUBG, and so they were all hyped. I'm on their Discord. They were moving forward pretty fast, and then PUBG happened, and so they're now back to where they're getting updates out again. They're putting their test servers back up. And I think that they see now that the sales have kind of leveled off for PUBG, and a lot of people are starting to realize, well, most of these people are in China anyways. There's not that many people in America buying the game. I mean, it's a decent amount, but it's more probably a realistic number of what we were assuming would happen or assuming what could happen. It's not, here's 10 million people in America buying this game. So I mean, that's one thing I think that now people kind of have a honest understanding of what happened with PUBG. But these guys are implementing a duos. Before it was just solos only. You'd land and it was just by yourself. They're introducing a duos right now, and making some decent progress. Redoing the inventory system, the armor system, making actual progress in the game, which it's good to see because I kickstarted it. I want to see the game happen. You don't want to be like, oh yeah, too bad guys, let's move on. Because these guys actually have a decent, the gunplay in this is decent. It's really good. And it's kind of a weird futuristic, but with medieval times level design. And I don't know if that's because of a little bit of asset flipping that they did, but other than kind of the weird environment that it is, the game itself, I guess in the opposite of the culling, probably the best part about this game is the combat, and the rest they're kind of figuring out, which if anything, I'd rather have the level design be something that they're figuring out, and have good combat rather than what we saw at the culling, to where the level looks pretty good, but the combat system is horrible. So
I would agree. You can always overlook cosmetic issues in video games, and the environment, for the most part, is a cosmetic thing.
Yep. And this is the one that I was talking about where they have kind of a Quake style arena in the beginning where you're just running around, waiting for the lobby to start. And that was probably the most enjoyable part of this game. I mean, the game itself was fun, but that I had just as much fun in the lobby, if not more fun in the lobby than I did in the actual game, which they could probably turn that into something. But that's a good sign. That shows you what the combat system is like when it's kind of like a CSGO, Call of Duty style of a feel as far as a quick combat, versus then you transition into parachuting into one of the big, PUBG style games.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think other games could learn from these guys on that.
Now, you just teed me up right again, Brian. CSGO.
All right.
Let's talk about CSGO. I saw this article again this week. The headline here, again, from PC Gamer: Counter-Strike Global Offensive might be getting a PUBG-style battle royale mode. So this article pretty much goes through. There was, according to the Valve News Network, which is a YouTube channel that does videos based on Valve games and stuff like that. They mention the possibility here of a CS:GO, essentially survival mode, that could be coming to CS:GO. What are your thoughts on that?
Now, didn't I kind of make this prediction a little bit last week? And you
I don't know. Is it in the book?
About it? No, but I was talking about
no, you didn't.
I said, what other AAA companies, like developers, are going to start getting into this market? And you were like, no, I don't think they will. I would consider Valve a AAA game company. I mean, it's kind of hit and miss on whether or not you like their games, right? But I would say that they are a AAA studio. And I think that they're seeing that this is something that has a future. And I don't know. I mean, I think they're kind of late to the party.
Yes,
honestly.
Extremely. Way too late.
I don't see how the two games, I'm sure there's gunplay in it, but the CSGO weapons aren't really tailored for long distance fighting.
Well, they mention compound bows and some other stuff that are allegedly being found in game files. I haven't watched the video. There'll be a link in the show notes.
I mean, they may redo the system.
They may, but it is it's interesting. It's interesting, but like you said, I think they're too late to the party for that. Can CS:GO and Valve pull off a survival mode? Yes, but here's what we're running into. We ran into it with zombies. People are zombied out. People are at this point zombied out, and I think after we see this PUBG launch, and probably by the middle of next year, people are going to be survival gamed out. They're not going to be interested.
And that'll be when these guys. It's kind of like DayZ, because DayZ, the standalone, came out, like they finally started making something public at the end of the zombie craze. Because there was this big zombie craze. H1Z1 jumped on it.
2011,
or
2012.
Daybreak, Sony Online. but then when they finally got a client out that was playable for the DayZ standalone, like people were not so hyped about zombies anymore. And, then it didn't run that well. And it was too late. And I think that this could be something similar to where if they had released standalone at the beginning of the zombie craze, or you're even, at the healthy part of the middle, I think more people would have picked up on it, but they didn't.
DayZ had a whole nother set of issues. As somebody that has played it enough, I mean, the problem with DayZ is it was just a disaster. Yeah, it was just a disaster. They never had any up until recently. They did not have all of the features that were available in the Arma 2 mod. So there was a whole set of issues.
I don't know how that works.
No, I mean it's astonishing, really. Because really it was the DayZ Arma 2 mod is essentially what started the H1Z1 kick, and even Smedley multiple times referenced the Arma 2 thing being an inspiration for the original concept of H1Z1, which was, by the way, let's take everybody back in time. Let's hop in our time machine and go back in the past to 2.5 years ago. H1Z1 was a zombie survival game. That was the initial purpose of the game. And the DayZ standalone in Arma was the inspiration for that, as well as a whole bunch of other games. So I think people are zombied out, and the next thing is people are going to be battle royale or survival out in this kind of combat stuff. The new thing is going to have to come out, and of course, your recommendation is the maybe more Western. We're going to start seeing a bunch of Western games. But there's got to be something new, because we went through the zombie phase. Yeah. That was 2011, 2012 to 2014, 2015. We're in the survival phase now. That will be petering out sometime, I would assume, next year. So we'll see. We'll see what's next. But no, CSGO is way too late to the party. They'll do great with their players, but people are not going to be flocking to CSGO to play the survival mode. But now you also do have to remember, Brian, CSGO is free. Oh, excuse me. No, it's not. Is it? Is CSGO free?
No.
No?
No, you have to pay for it.
Okay.
There was a period where they sold it for really cheap, if I remember correctly, but I don't think it's ever been free.
Okay, then maybe it's not free. But maybe it's $15 or $20.
Yeah, it's $14.99.
$14.99. But it does have a huge player base, and the player base is quite competitive. So you may see some of those players switch over, but I don't.
But I mean, the thing is they were going off of the original Counter-Strike. There's a huge Counter-Strike, just the original Counter-Strike audience. And so, like this, they don't have. It's not like the people that are playing Counter-Strike religiously are hoping for a survival game or an open world type of a game. And so I don't know. I think it's weird. And unless they really execute it well, I just don't know. I don't know why you would pick this one over the now many games that are like it, of what they're promising.
You're spot on. You're absolutely spot on. All right, we're about 50 minutes into the program. Do we want to announce our first giveaway here?
Yes. So let me get my my window up here.
All right, and
this is going to be exclamation point giveaway, by the way.
Okay,
as usual.
And while he's doing that, Batchain Puller references that he purchased The Long Dark, which is a game that Brian has talked about in the past couple of weeks, using our infection link, which you can do so over on our website, infectionpodcast.com/support. We've got our Amazon link where you can bookmark that or use that to buy things on Amazon, our PayPal link where you can do a direct contribution to the program, or the one that everybody seems to be using, our Humble Bundle link, where you can purchase games through Humble Bundle. It's most of the time, it's the same, if not cheaper price than Steam, but it gives us a little bit of a kickback when you do that purchase. So infectionpodcast.com/support. Thanks to everybody. And again, thanks to Batchain Puller for purchasing Long Dark. And he says it's an awesome survival game. He's really pleased with it. So thank him, and we thank everybody else that's used that.
And that's the thing is, if you like survival games, that, as I said, is probably the most real survival game that we talk about. It's, it's on point when it comes to having a game that's not saying, "Oh yeah, we're a survival game because you can loot stuff or you have to eat food or whatever, drink water." Like that's kind of the criteria right now of a survival game. And so I think that this one is a true survival game. And if you are a fan of that genre, a true fan of that genre, and you haven't checked out The Long Dark, I would really encourage you to go check it out. And it's the Humble Bundle monthly right now. So excellent deal. If you're wanting that game, that alone is worth the $12 that you would pay for the Humble Bundle monthly. So, all right. So exclamation point giveaway in chat if you want to enter for this. And I'm giving away a copy of Gunpoint. Now, this is a game that has a very good, or overwhelmingly positive rating on Steam. And it's a stealth puzzle indie 2D comedy action game. It's a pretty unique game. How it works it is a lot of fun. So Gunpoint, exclamation point giveaway if you want to enter for that. And we'll be doing that probably in about 10 minutes.
Absolutely. And again, if you're listening to this after the fact, you can tune in live every Tuesday, except for next week. We'll have a pre-recorded show.
Except for next Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah, except for next Tuesday. And you can tune in live. We do the giveaways. We interact with the chat. All of that can be found at infectionpodcast.com or our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/infectionpodcast. I know the stream has been a little wonky tonight as I'm taxing this system doing the broadcast, but I appreciate everybody that's sticking through the live stream and everybody that's watching after the fact. All right, Brian, I would say let's try to hold off on any videos if we can. We can try one of them maybe.
Just to not crash everything up.
Yeah. Do we want to try the Conan video? Are you prepared to talk about it if we can't show the video?
Yeah. I mean, if you can't, that's fine.
All right. Well, I've got the video.
There's notes for it as well. So
it's short enough. We're going to play the video. Hopefully it plays through.
Be a good test.
And then we'll be back at the other side of the video here to make some comments. But this is a update for Conan Exiles, which we've announced. Well, we didn't announce it, but they've announced that the game is coming out in May of 2018. It's coming out of early access. We had Jens Erik on the show. We interviewed him at PAX. They were adamant that the game was not going to sit in early access limbo forever like all these other games. So we're going to play this quick Conan update video really quick. This is update number 32, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
Do you mind if I talk over this since they
No.
it's pretty much all music the whole time for our audio listeners? Yeah, I mean, this game. They're as you said, they're coming out of alpha, and in this, they've gone through and kind of reworked the weather system. Has more of a dynamic rain, snow, wind, fog in here. Putting rain puddles on the ground when there's rain. Just some nice, cool things that you can take advantage of in Unreal if you do it correctly. They'll have thunderstorms in there. They're
Oh
redoing a
yeah.
lot of they're having weapons, tools, and armor modifications in here. So those are going to be put in pretty soon. Uh, with modification kits that you can make. They're having new armor sets in there. Also, they've improved the thrall capture tools. So you have iron and steel truncheons for knocking out thralls, and then higher tier bindings like rawhide leather and chain for dragging the thralls for longer distances. So they show that here. We're actually dragging them back to your base. Uh, and then, yeah, they have some new weapons that you can have, like studded mace, like a new pole axe, new building pieces that they've added, new tools for like harvesting meat, harvesting fiber, and then new placeables, pretty much decorative items that you can do, weapon racks, folded screens, papyrus scrolls, and more. So that is pretty much what is in this patch. And that's a pretty solid patch. So, and here they're on the screen, they're showing, I think, the modifications for the armor. And then here is some of the placeables that they put in.
Yeah, and Conan is. I've got a real. I'm perplexed with Conan. They have done
Yes.
so much stuff since the launch, but for some reason, myself included, I just can't push myself back to playing it. We've tried to play a couple of times, and the experience has been pretty subpar. Almost all of the times we've played it. And I don't know why, because looking at that trailer, it's got me damn near ready to load up my Steam client right now and install it. But I know when we get into the game, it's not going to be the same.
I don't think I don't think they have those as much motivations throughout to kind of keep you held on. If you look at Ark, the dinosaurs and the taming of the dinosaurs, and at the different levels, and always trying to get that next level of dinosaur, or getting the stronger dinosaur, or upgrading your base to the stronger material, like that throughout the whole time is always kind of keeping you on the line. It's always like, oh, I can just get a little bit more, I can get a little bit more. This doesn't have that so much. It's like a kind of an all or nothing deal with this, to where, all right, I can build this base now, all of a sudden I can just build more things. But it's not like
that's it.
They're not coaxing you and holding you on the line the whole time.
So do you believe? So then I agree with you completely. So there really isn't anything to do in Conan. There's no taming. No, maybe you can ride. I think you can
get the thralls, but they're still an all or nothing thing. It's not like you're getting
correct.
There's not a huge progression system with the thralls that I know about. And maybe with this new system of having more difficult thralls, it could be that they could implement that now that they have at least something that has 3 tiers of the tool to be able to carry them back to your base, possibly multiple tiers of things to knock them out. I think that could be something to where, if they then say, oh, well, here's the thralls that you can get at a higher level versus here's low level thralls, and there's a big difference between what they give you, that could be something that would hold people on. But they need to come up with a series of those things, not just one thing. Like the thralls isn't going to bring you to that game and hold you.
No.
But if they make it to where you start out with a really small base, and then like, and I think they're getting there. Like they have all those decorations and things, but they need to have a system to where it unlocks over time. And I think that it's tough to get people to come in when you're in the middle of doing it to see, oh, now there's a progression system when you only have half of it done. I think they still have a ways to go to make it to where that beginner player has a much different experience than the person who's been playing for a while. They need to have that stretch between.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like the ability to tame an animal or something that kind of brings you to the next level is the big issue, because outside of building a house or a fortress, there really isn't a whole lot else to do.
What if you could get an animal companion? And this may be something that they're working on. Like you can train different animal companions that help fight with you.
Yeah.
Something like that, to where there's more difficult ones, there's better ones. Far Cry Primal is a perfect example. It doesn't have a huge progression system, but you have animals that fight with you, and there's the easy ones that are the beginning ones, and then over time you kind of work to where you get a stronger one and a stronger one. That could be a little something they could throw in to kind of stretch that experience out. I mean, they'll have to come up with a number of things. Base building has to be a part of it. the thrall system, if you have a companion, just all of that needs to be just like it is in Arc, something that happens over a month, 2 months, not over a week or a weekend.
Yeah,
which I don't know that there's that much they can stretch out over the week right now.
That's it. And I kind of feel the same way with 7 days when we play that. It spans a week or two, but it very, very quickly drops off. And I know 7 days has got some more longevity than Conan, but it doesn't have the longevity of a game like Arc. You cannot play Arc for 2 weeks. You will get nothing accomplished.
You're saying 7 days? Or you're saying playing Arc for 2 weeks, you're not getting
nothing. It's useless. You might as well not play.
You're in the middle of, you're like just starting.
Exactly. 2 weeks into 7 days to die, you've probably got yourself a decent base set up.
Explored the whole map.
Exactly. You've done a lot. And the same thing with Conan. 2 weeks into Conan, playing it multiple hours a day, you're going to have a lot done. You're not going to be at the end game, but you're going to have a nice base built. You're going to have most of the stuff you want. And that's when you kind of scratch your head and
you're
say,
going to have 90%. You're going to be 90% there. That's
exactly.
The issue.
That's what Arc doesn't have. And that's why Arc has been so successful up to this point, is because you literally have to play the game for months before you get to any decent shape, any decent location where you're ready to go, where you've got the animals you want and you've got generators and stuff. I mean, when we were playing on our last iteration of the private server, I'd probably had a month and a half in, and I finally had a base with a generator and a fridge, and it was a whole process. But that didn't come over 2 weeks. That came over a very long period. A long period of time is kind of an understatement, but a period of time that games like Conan and 7 days just can't, and H1Z1 for the matter of fact, can't hang with. H1Z1, you play that game for 2 weeks, you have literally done everything that you could possibly want to do. There's nothing else in the game for you literally to do.
And if you really know the game well, you could do it in a week.
Oh, absolutely. You could do it in a long weekend. You could do it from a Friday to a Monday. If you were comfortable with the game enough and you had a couple of friends playing with you that knew what they were doing, you could do that game in 4 days. You'd be good to go. That's the big issue, and Conan has that issue. So I don't know how we got down. We got down this road because I said, you look at this video and it looks awesome, and then you actually play it, and it's just not as good. And it's unfortunate because I do really like Conan. I do really like the game. I like the concept. I actually like the backstory. There's an actual story behind the game, but for some reason the game's just not been able to gain that ground. Now we'll see what they've got up their sleeves for May with the launch of the game. Our goal is to hopefully get Jens Erik back on, who is the community manager for that game, sometime either right before or right after that launch to kind of promote it again. But it's a shame. It really is a shame that the game is not more popular, because I've really enjoyed it every time we've played it.
Well, and I think that's something to where once they get closer to the release, I think it's something you could push and say it has a lot of features.
Yeah.
It may not be one. It may not have the longevity of Arc, but I think it's got enough in there to where you could play with some friends for a couple weeks and have a good time.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Exactly. All right. Well, let's do the giveaway here and roll on with the second half of the program.
All right. So congratulations to Amnon. So Amnon has won.
Congrats.
Nissan, should I call him by his internet name? Nissan has won. So we will. I will send you a code for that.
Yes, and thank you. Thanks for tuning in and being a part of the chat. We appreciate it. All right, we're on to next here, Brian. What do we?
So let's just jump into H1Z1, and we've kind of hinted at it a little bit. But they had a post here talking about skins.
Yes.
And so they put out a notification here this past week saying, today we've updated H1Z1 with additional Steam community market support. Previously, only locked crates could be traded, but starting now, all tradable items from within those crates, along with tradable special events and giveaway items, can be traded on the Steam marketplace. So we're excited to bring yet another option to all of you, allowing each player to put their unique spin on their in-game personality. So on here, it says, while some games on Steam allow for their in-game items to be listed instantly upon being added to the player's inventory, H1Z1 will retain the current 7-day waiting period before items can be placed on the Steam market. So this helps the players against fraud. So if someone steals your account, they're just giving a window there where someone can't log in and open all your crates or sell all your things instantly. So this should allow for sufficient time with proper vetting and confirmation of account status. Only items that are flagged as tradable will be available for use in the market, and any that are not tradable remain that way. We're not introducing any additional restrictions than what is currently attached to each skin or crate. So that is something new. So you may have had items before that you could not sell. I don't know how much they're worth now. If anything, I would assume this means that it's just things are going to become even worth less.
They would, but I'm a little confused here as I read through this earlier. So they say, but starting now, all tradable items from within those crates, along with tradable special event and giveaway items, can be traded. But then they go on to say that things that are marked not tradable will remain that way. So what are they really changing? They used to always have tradable items. The thing and not tradable.
But the crates, you could trade the crates, but the things that were inside of, or you could sell on the Steam Marketplace, the crates, but the skins that you got out of them, you could not sell.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that. That's stupid.
You had to go to those third-party websites and do the things where you're giving it to the website, and then it's pretty much handling the transaction for you, which Daybreak is looking at it as they're not getting that percentage or that kickback from Steam for having a transaction happen when that happens. And that's how most of these skins were being sold, was not through crates being sold. Most of these are through all of these third-party sites. So there's a huge amount of money that Daybreak is kind of behind the ball on. I mean, they should have done this a long time ago when their skins were selling like crazy.
It's only been months that people have been selling things on the survival trading posts. I mean, really, this is when they decide they're going to try to change it? Nobody's playing the damn game.
After people don't care anymore, they fix
Nobody plays the game. Now now you can trade your items. Who cares? This is what they waste their time on.
They finally figured out that they get a cut from every Steam Market purchase. Like, they should. I don't get where their head was at with this, because this is so much money that now that the market for skins is at the bottom now.
Yeah.
And then they fixed it to where they actually have a way to make money off of it when it's at the worst. They're not buying into a market. It's not like stock market. Oh, we're buying low. Like this is equivalent of buying high. They've done the worst possible.
If I was, the stock market, I would not be buying H1Z1 on a low. I really, really can't. I can't even fathom why they would introduce this now. Nobody plays the game.
It's more of I can't fathom why they didn't do it in the first place.
That's my point. Is why would they even do it now?
Somebody not caring about the company. I mean, the thing is if you had the choice, you're like, well, we could do this or we could do this. They took the lazy option of, well, we don't want to put every item in there. Once you open the crate, whatever. Rather than saying, well, here's how my paycheck's going to be made to pay me, is if I, here they can make $1 million off of this, and that's going to make sure I have a job next year. Rather than do that, they're like, oh, it's easiest just to sell the crates and not worry about the items, after that. And it's just ridiculous to me. It just shows me the mentality of that company, of people in that company. They could care less about the company itself. Yeah. I mean, I would be pissed. Whoever coded this in, like, if this wasn't discussed and was a decision, whoever was in charge of this, dropped the ball and lost their own company a huge amount of money.
I mean, if they had this introduced a year and a half ago, they'd be making bank off of selling this stuff in the marketplace. I mean, for example, I believe our friend Hanny had a trading site. I believe. That was, from what I gathered, was quite popular. There was you could go on there and see what was being traded, and there was a whole bunch of stuff being traded. Op skins, of course.
I mean, there was a lot of them that were making, those websites were making a lot of money.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Daybreak wasn't making any of that money. They were only making money off the original key that was sold for the skins. So they were making some money, but then after that item got traded around and all those things that then all of a sudden had a really high value after that, they weren't making any money off of that.
Mind-boggling.
Yep.
Really is mind-boggling.
So kind of scary.
All right. Well, there we go. There's some H1Z1 news. Now we do have some Just Survive updates as well as Just Survive news. This is breaking news. If I had my alert system, this was a couple of hours ago. We had a yeah. There we go. Thanks, Brian. See, donate. We can get a nicer sound system. This is our Just Survive live update from 12/19, which is of course today. If you're tuning into the broadcast live, a couple of things that were done here. Of course, this includes significant anti-cheat updates and new technology to detect, prevent, and punish players. Yada yada yada. Let's see it in action. I'm so sick of this word play, the word game that Daybreak's been playing. Let's see some damn action. Let's see people not zipping around and YouTube videos of people literally hacking on live streams. And then I'll believe some of this crap that they put in this. But outside of that, there were actually some updates inside this in this update as well, which again was today. This was a live update to the live servers, 12/19. Explosives have been rebalanced. It reduced explosive damage. The IEDs have been buffed. Damage increase, bulk decreased. There's been a rebalance to the Z1 loot distribution, so more widely distributed military equipment spawners, and added and removed loot spawners to better normalize loot distribution across the map, which of course has been a huge issue, or was a huge issue on Z1. Fixed a bug that could cause players to die on login under certain circumstances. Everybody remembers that one from the old H1Z1 quite well. That was one that was always fun. Significant server performance improvements. This should help with NPC performance, timers, and interactions. Added a medical cabinet storage decoration recipe. Added a taxidermy bear recipe and a deer, so both those taxidermy decorations. Talked about them adding some more cosmetic stuff to the game. That's it. They've added 8 painting decoration recipes to the game. They fixed an issue with the Molotov cocktail video effects not displaying for other players, so it would just display locally, which of course would be an issue. Fixed an issue where players would get stuck in the aim mode after aiming and have their movement slowed. Fixed an issue where undoing placement of a metal shack door granted a metal door instead. Well, that's a good one. See, now would that be classified as duping and cheating?
Yeah, so they should ban people that happened too.
I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I'm asking a dead serious question. That is a cheat. For all intents, according to them, that's a cheat. There's an
after
exploit.
You did it the first time. If you did it a second time, then that would be a bannable offense.
There we go. That's what I thought. Fixed an issue where players could not snap foundations to claim strongholds. Fixed an issue where vehicles had limited numbers of inventory slots in addition to their bulk. The bulk has been unchanged. Fixed an exploit where players could store non-stronghold components in their stronghold bags. Fixed an exploit that allowed players to respawn.
Is that an bags. Exploit?
No, it's a bug.
Yeah. Not an exploit. If people are putting things into their bag and they let them, that's a bug, not an exploit.
Absolutely. And then finally here, updated anti-cheat detection. And then the avalanche crate, which we showed and demoed last week with all the Christmas skins and the guns with the glows and stuff like that. So that is now in Just Survive. And now they also say, Brian, we gave them crap. Now we've got to give them some credit. They're doing a holiday event. And they did a good time. The 19th. It's 6 days before Christmas. So from December 19th, which is today if you're listening to this broadcast, through January 2nd, it's Holly Jolly Rampage. And essentially, this is their festival. Zombies roam anywhere. USA Z1 and the Badwater Canyon, carrying gifts for good survivors and coal for everyone else. Kill these zombies for a chance to retrieve a couple of things here: blue and white holiday helmet, green and red holiday helmet, and then the Alpine camouflaged M9 skin. It also says players who log in between 10 a.m. Pacific on December 19th through 12 a.m. Pacific on January 2nd will receive a free patchwork Rudolph nose. So giving you a free thing, and then if you run around and kill the zombies. This is similar to the Halloween event they did a couple of years back. We had to run around and kill some of the zombies to get some Halloween stuff, which I actually thought was actually pretty cool. I really enjoyed that Halloween event. So, hey, they're doing a holiday event, Brian. Got to give them credit where credit is due. This is on the live server, so if you want some stuff, some swag inside of Just Survive, log in and get that.
So I don't think this is the same crate though.
It's not.
This is no, but I
a-
can't find pictures. I found a video. Actually, you want that might not be good.
No, can't do.
I was gonna say I found a video showing the spinning wheel, showing the skins. Now there is a.
Send me the link on Skype. I can do my best.
Okay, so I will send that to you. This is just because I couldn't find anything showing the actual promotion for it. Just they said the Avalanche thing, but all right. Sorry, I'm getting this to you. So I found this video to where this guy is opening the crate, so you can see it spinning by, and he has a like Rudolph the Red-Nosed skin, like for his nose, the face cover.
Yeah.
So there's that, and I don't see that in the spinning. There you go. So I think so. You can get the Rudolph the Red-Nosed skin. And then there's the Avalanche crate, which has things like the Yeti mask, an Alpine tactical helmet, so a jacket. See those things?
Yeah.
So I mean that's what's in that crate. A Tundra camo ghillie suit. Like where's this? I haven't seen these pictures anywhere.
Good question.
Yeah, it's like it's crazy to me. But anyways, that's what's in that crate, and yeah, I just thought it was kind of odd. So I'm looking anywhere to see even on the Reddit. I don't see a single thing showing those skins.
Well, this
where are they promoting this?
I don't know. It's in game. You got between now and January 2nd to get some of those things, and there you go. You're
anyways.
That
I just thought that was odd. Like
that is
there's
odd.
nowhere where they
I assumed
actually
it was
say what's in it.
I guess that's my bad.
Because they didn't say it was any different. They
No.
just said we're releasing the crate, but they didn't show a single picture of the crate.
Interesting.
So, all right. Anyway, so do we want to go ahead and get on to ARC? Since they have
yes,
a
you've
lot
got
of
a whole
updates.
bunch of
This
ARC
will mostly
updates.
just be and a lot of this is because they put out Aberration.
Yep.
And now their heads have lifted up out of the foxhole and they're actually looking around for a moment. So December 13th, they put out 275.1, and this was just a client-side crash fix with certain mods such as Structures Plus and other renderer edge cases. And then we have 275.11. This is on the 13th as well. Another thing that's just one update. Made distance field ambient occlusion setting not affect lighting of aberration, which doesn't use this technique. So that's the thing is there's a setting in there that aberration does not use that effect for any of its lighting. So they wanted to make sure that it didn't mess up or change how because aberration is a lot about lighting. They have it to where it's a lot of it's underground, and they have very specific lighting and a feel that they want you to have with that game. So they're not using distance field ambient occlusion. And then 275.2, this was on the 13th as well. So far, this is 3 patches in the same day. They added the Basilisk saddle to Smithy type crafting stations where it was meant to be. They fixed the Lantern Pet inventory mistakenly being flagged as tribute inventories. They exported and included latest localization manifest files on client for translation. And then there's 275.31. This is the 14th, so the next day. They fixed a Linux client crash. They fixed server language crash, fixed mod class replacement priority. So this was Dino replacement mods. They reduced the Cave Wolf damage by approximately 40%. They increased the Wild Basilisk HP by 50%. They increased the Wild Reaper King damage by 300%. They made Aqua Shroom properly restore water stat, and they added Nameless to certain areas of the Biolume chamber where they were missing. And then they removed the piranhas from the starting area pool. Possibly they were too difficult. Fixed a case where aberration end boss sometimes wouldn't appear on clients. Also fixed similar issues with Ragnarok end bosses. And then 275.32, this is on the same day, December 14th. Aberration dynos can now be properly added or downloaded on ARCs other than Aberration. So if you have, possibly you're spawning them in on a private server, but if you have a server and you are playing on an Aberration, you can now bring those dynos over. 275.33, this is on the 14th as well. Fixed Sarcos spawning in beginner portal pool. Wild non-alpha Reaper Kings no longer grant XP. Platform switch collision is improved to allow you to easily directly climb onto it with a ladder attached to the elevator track. Wood elevator platform weight limit has been increased. The wood elevator can now be lifted while it's falling to stop it, and you can now repeatedly click to lift command without having to reopen the action wheel. And then remaining fix for mod class replacements. They did a post-processing error fix, and then players who are getting D3D device lost error should try running, and then they will give a command line no hit thread in launch placement. It says this resolves, and they're going to be putting out a fix to automatically do that in the future. And then 275.34, this was on December 15th. They fixed graphical issues when running with that command line that they just gave. And they fixed crash when taking super resolution screenshots with Ansel. And that's that 360 screenshot you can do where you actually can move around the screenshot and see from your exact perspective at any direction. And then 275.4. Now, this is one where they actually did fixes for Arc, Ragnarok, and Aberration. They're breaking up now at this point. Fix the Megalania not dropping their toxin, fixed an issue with the preventing some creatures from receiving 100% imprint with the new 8-hour timer. Bear traps now take 12 seconds for the large and 10 seconds for small to activate. They fixed multiple building cases where structures would not be placed, like cables and wires. They fixed a bug which would cause the Giga to rage easier than desired, which you don't need. They fixed a bug which will allow you to get under the map. And then other than that, it is Ragnarok and Aberration fixes. And maybe in the future we'll cover those, but we won't cover those right now. Fixed another issue with mod class replacements when loading save games. And then 275.43, this was on the 19th, so this is today. They fixed the Metal Cliff platform when using stone structure damage settings. They fixed cliff platforms having a 12-hour decay time. Now it's 12 days for stone, 16 days for metal. And then they fixed the zipline crash that was happening. And then another one that happened today, 275.44, made wild species X or wild plant species Z only heal, not replenish vitals, and only if not recently damaged, not handcuffed, and not a baby dino. Fixed climbing rock drake not being able to damage targets. And then they fixed a case where the cave wolf would get stuck on zip lines. So that brings us current. So that's pretty much all the updates. So a lot of, there was actually quite a few for the 275, the one that had for Aberration and Ragnarok. So if because it's a new map, other than that, they were tweaking the Griffin on Ragnarok. So you'll notice that they've actually nerfed the Griffin quite a bit. And then they just had a lot of fixes for Aberration.
Well, there we go.
And that is it.
Alrighty. And thank you very much for that, Brian. We forgot to mention at the beginning of the broadcast, game of the week for the next 2 weeks, as obviously next week is going to be, or this Friday coming up is going to be 2 days before Christmas Eve. So imagine people are probably going to be in and out. And then for the week after, we're going to be playing Overwatch. Of course, they do their big Christmas event, all their skins and stuff. So we'll be doing that for the next 2 weeks. And then once we're back in the first of the year and everybody is all settled after the holiday season, we'll start our schedule back up and we'll get into the normal schedule. And now we still do want people to host game of the week. If you're really familiar with a game, or if you know a group of people that are really familiar with a game, we would love to have somebody come in and host one of our game of the week, somebody that's an expert at a game. and kind of walk us through the whole process. So if somebody is interested in doing that, you can tweet us at InfectionCast or PM Brian or myself on Discord, and we'd absolutely love to have somebody host Game of the Week. First, for a game that we're not familiar with. It's hard to host Game of the Week for a game that we don't know well. It makes it a little bit tougher. So Overwatch next 2 weeks, and we'll be back with our normal schedule once we're back in the first of the year. So there we go.
Very good. All right. Do you have a preference where we go from here? I mean, do you have a certain game you want to talk about?
You want to talk about PUBG?
Sure.
So they've got in their dev blog here. I'm not going to read through all of it because it's a lot of just like super weird fixes. And by the way, they do something that really upsets me, Brian. I wish I could show it on stream. They're using like different fonts throughout this post. Like multiple people are writing it in different fonts, and they don't normalize it. There's larger fonts, there's smaller fonts, in like the same sentence and the same paragraphs. It's quite annoying. But this is 1.0 test build patch notes number 3, and this came out on the 15th, which would make it last Friday. So this could have been before or after you actually played on the test server. So I'm hoping this was after, and they've been able to fix some of those things.
Hopefully we'll hear the fix here.
Yeah. So they added the first person mode to the OCE and the SA servers. They're going to be adding those next week. Now a couple of things that they've done. They've added a replay menu. They've added replay functionality, which can record up to 1 kilometer around the player. And they say, please enable replay settings in the options. It's on by default. Most people are doing a fresh install of the test server, so it is on by default, I believe. At least mine was. And they say when the game ends, the replay will be saved and now be played on the lobby replays. That's the new thing. It can actually be. It's actually going to be recorded now. Previously, you'd have to watch the replay and record it with something like NVIDIA's. What's the name of their replay system? The name has escaped me, but it's inside of GeForce.
Yeah.
That's how I was recording it, with that system, or use something like Fraps or OBS to record it. But now it's actually going to be saved inside the game, so you can move on to the next game and then go back later and record it if you'd like. So that's in there.
You're talking, there's a shadow play, but then they have inside of their the feature that this is taking advantage of, which I think is still probably under shadow play. So
it's under shadow play. They will save up to 20 replays, and they will automatically be deleted in order oldest when the number exceeds 20. They go through here the control guide, which I'm not going to go through, but it'll be on our website. And I'll just go through a couple of the gameplay fixes here. Adjust the size of Myanmar's first Blue Zone. Myanmar's the new map, the desert map. Considering it was relatively large, bullet loops can now be attached to the Win 94. Added red tip for the Win 94 iron sights for easier aiming. Increased the zoom level of the Win 94 and ADS while holding breath. Increased recoil for the Win 94. Increased the drag effect on the car. Increase slightly the drag effect and reduce the base damage of the M24 by about 2%. Very specific number there. Decrease the duration of camera shake while firing the vector. So now they say the vector is a little bit easier to handle. The size of the blood particles and effects have been toned down at a greater distance. And then they just go through here with some other stuff as well. A couple of quick things. Increase the fuel efficiency of the pickup for vehicles. Adjusted the item spawn rate of Myanmar to better optimize for Myanmar area. That's big because loot was kind of a little sketchy, a little shady on Myanmar, the desert map. Remove rain and fog weather from the original map. Road signs in Myanmar are now breakable when hit with vehicles, and then just a laundry list of bug fixes. So overall, just I guess one final pass through before the launch, which will be tomorrow. And then I would assume we'll have another test build probably tonight. We'll have notes for it maybe tonight or tomorrow. But going through, we'll have the new version of the game, and this will be version 1.0 of PUBG, hopefully out tomorrow the 20th. So if you're watching this broadcast live here on the 19th, Tuesday night, hopefully you'll have a full 1.0 version of the final game tomorrow in your Steam library. All you'll have to do is do your update, and you should have a full version of that. So that's PUBG, Brian, as we look forward to the version 1.0, which we talked about extensively at the beginning of the broadcast.
Yes.
How we feel about that. So big stuff from PUBG. I'm excited to see what's coming forward with them.
Yep. And hopefully, we'll just keep seeing. I mean, this is only the third patch for their 1.0 test. So
it's pretty unbelievable when you think about it.
All they're doing is 3 patches.
Well,
if it's coming out tomorrow.
And I'm going to be honest with you, Brian. I didn't experience those issues you experienced. So from my vantage point, from what I played, 3 patches, I only played through 2 patches. I was pretty damn impressed. Besides the server issues, which again, I attribute to the test servers not being up to snuff, like to handle 150,000 people, which is not an excuse, but I'm saying I understand why it may have happened. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to playing it once I'm back in North Carolina and have access to my my full desktop.
Cool. Well, let's roll on to Miscreated really quick. And this is they do updates, kind of bigger updates at once. They don't do a lot of small updates like Arc does. And so this is update number 55. So this is the 55th update that they've ever done. When you can get 20 updates in 2 weeks with Arc.
As I'm sitting here literally looking at our Word doc or our Google Doc that we use, we've got 11 Arc updates within the past 7 days. And we've had 55 Miscreated updates in a year and a half. 2 years almost, something like that.
So in this update, you'll love this. They've added the new extreme weather patterns. So radiation, dust storm, and short-term nuclear winter.
We showed that
to the map.
A couple weeks ago.
We did show some of those. And also we have all fog patterns have been visually enhanced, and the tornado pattern has received an initial warning period. So it get a tornado warning before it comes.
I gotta go play some Miscreated.
This is for the run around for some weather.
Yep.
For the new weather patterns, the negative effects have not been added to the game yet. So players have time to learn the associated warning signs. So it will be in the future that you'll take damage from them, or something will happen from them. Well, they're not having the damage happen yet, so that you have the ability to at least know when they're coming and kind of figure out where you have to go to get away from them.
I mean, the nuclear storm
and then later they'll turn that on.
Well, I assume damage you like a nuclear radiation. So I like, now here's my question, Brian. Are they doing this to help the players, or are they not ready?
Well, I would assume the damage would be pretty easy to implement. Like if you're standing in it, kill you. So I think they are actually just waiting so people don't rage quit because they lost all their gear because something crazy came out of nowhere.
And the only reason I ask is because they go so long without doing updates. Like, is this going to be in place for 3 months?
There may be a hot fix. I mean, this could be a hot fix that they do, like 55C or something. It could be a small hot fix that they do, and they don't wait till 56 to actually do it. And so one thing, the effects on player stats and the expansion of the radiation system with new item attributes and related items will follow in later updates. So we'll see when that is. The strength of the negative effects will depend on the clothing worn and the area the player is in. Areas underground, such as sewers, cellars, bunkers, caves, will be fully protected. Buildings and bases above ground will protect enough to not die from the effect, but you will still take some damage. The outside is very dangerous during the extreme weather patterns and will require special gear to survive. So this is something where they're getting you to wear special items to be able to not take damage from those. A warning period will give players about 1 to 2 minutes to move to safety or to equip their protective gear. And then to support the new weather patterns, all environmental protective item attributes have been reworked. Also, the following protective attributes have been implemented so far. The smoke grenade, which is a gas grenade, this physical, which is tornado, falls, collision, radiation, which is irradiated areas, explosion, and then feet sharp, like traps, light, which is flashbangs, which mess up your eyes, and fire from Molotovs. So those are all the different effects you can possibly feel. And then once fully implemented, there will be at least a total of 15 different attributes that you can suffer from. The protective attributes will be displayed in the inventory UI when the new UI is finished. So that says, they are working on a new UI for the game, which is good because it needs a lot of work. And then they have command lines for weather manager if you want to be able to go and change those on your server. They added in a motorcycle. So they've been working on the 2-wheeled physics system. Before they had those bikes, if you remember.
Yeah.
But they got kind of a dirt bike type of thing that they put in here this game. So this patch has a dirt bike, a new SUV, and then they did some changes to fix some of those things. Driverless vehicles no longer do collision damage. So if you get out, I think so. You can't be driving and then jump out of the vehicle and then have it run into something. It would be kind of fun, but it could be that rolling vehicle, you could roll it into somebody's base or kill somebody with it. And then base building, they said packed up parts spawn in the same rotation as they were part of when they were part of the base. And then they added welding helmets, just added a number of items that you can wear, like a guitar, clams, seaweed. They put in a Christmas hat. The AI, they've been some tweaking to that. They fixed some animations and then did some adjustments to audio. So should be a number of new things if you run around. You'll probably notice definitely some new vehicles and just some tweaks to the weather around.
I love weather.
So that is pretty much Miscreated patch number 55.
Love it. They did it. They have done an unbelievable job with their weather system. My weather game, which by the way is coming in 2018. I'm not trying to brag or anything, but it's going to be in 2018. Everybody's going to love it. Big inspirations, Miscreated's weather system.
Yeah. Well, they have a really nice looking game, which is nice.
It is. It makes it a lot.
Get the whole environment.
It allows you, when you have a game that is so pretty like Miscreated, I can overlook some pretty big flaws in the game because they make it so aesthetically pleasing. And for people, you don't realize it until you start playing it. But the game just looks so good that you say, I can deal with this issue. Like, for example, the base building. The base building is atrocious. But because the game is so pretty and there's just so much to do in it and it looks so nice, you just kind of go, but whatever. I'll deal with it.
It'd be nice if they got to that.
It would. But yeah, as Falcon says, the weather game, pre-alpha 2018. Check it out. Hatsforsingles.com will be the URL. You can check it out.
This will be the new hit.
Yeah, it's going to be.
All right, so
I'm just saying. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying.
So let's roll through it. We'll roll through a couple of these other ones really quick.
You want to announce a giveaway first? We're about an hour 40.
Yeah, we could do that. That way we are ready to roll out on time.
I'm not trying to rush you.
I forgive you.
Oh, it's okay. I'm sorry, Brian.
No, it's fine. All right. So I'll go ahead and get the raffle open here. So this will be, once again, exclamation point giveaway. 30 points will be the entry fee. And let's give away a copy this time. I've got a couple big ones. I'm trying to decide which one to do. I could give away a copy of Gary's Mod.
Yes.
Could give away a copy of Chivalry.
Chivalry's fun. I would do Gary's Mod. Gary's Mod's a great giveaway.
Okay. So let's go ahead and we will give away a copy of Gary's Mod. And this is one that we do as Game of the Week. And maybe you use that as an excuse that you didn't own it. Right now it's $10. Maybe use the excuse that you don't own Gary's Mod, so you don't join us on Game of the Week. Well, this is your opportunity to fix that. So
PH is very
if you do not own Gary's Mod, enter the raffle and you will have an opportunity to get this overwhelmingly positive rated game, which is a sandbox multiplayer funny moddable co-op game, which is just, you may only play it with us, but that will be enough.
You do also have to buy Counter-Strike if you'd like to play most of the settings.
No, I think they fixed that.
I don't know.
I think they fixed it.
We're going to have a Harry Potter RP server up on our new server. So I'm glad everybody crowdfunded us.
Which is hilarious. Yeah. We ran around trolling people.
We have
the whole time. So.
We have an unbelievable amount of fun when we play Gary's. It's almost disturbing how much fun we have playing. It actually, Brian, you are a grown ass man, and you have the best time playing Gary's Mod.
Making children cry. It's just.
Oh my Lord.
It's one of the only times you're allowed to.
Okay, that's a different show. All right, where do we want to go from here, Brian?
All right, so we kind of skimmed through. Let's go and jump on the Black Death. And this is the game that I always try to mention when they're doing fixes. Last week they had a patch.
Yep.
This one is a patch that's focusing on optimizations and fixes. So for different crashes. So there's not a huge amount of new content, but this is a fix patch. So if you've been playing this, one thing they did is they did a huge optimization to the network traffic. So it should be a much more responsive game. And then they just did fixes to like the UI, context wheel, just the different things that were happening in the game. So if you played it recently and maybe you ran into a bug, this has probably about 15 different fixes that they did this week, along with the network optimization that they did. One thing they said that you may still see is we have temporarily removed Steam to in-game chat while we hunt down a crash related to it. So you will not have in-game chat with Steam. So
interesting.
Sorry. We'll have to deal with that for now.
I guess so.
But anyway, so that is the Black Death, and it's version 0.23. And this is the kind of that lull of after Thanksgiving through Christmas. So we got a lot of news, but I think that's all the stuff they're working on before Thanksgiving. And then they probably said, all right, it's done. Now I can go on Thanksgiving holiday, and now they're just pushing out those updates. So I think right now we have kind of a big set of updates, and I bet you in the next couple of weeks we won't, just because this is I want to be able to go on vacation, on my holiday.
Yep.
Here's all my work. Leave me alone for a month.
Yes, and we've many of times mentioned this lull. That's also why we made the decision to pre-record a Christmas show for next week, because honest to God, there's not going to be much news between today or tomorrow, Wednesday, and the only thing really is going to be PUBG launching. I don't see much else of anything of note going on. So when we're back here on the 2nd of January of 2018, we'll have people getting back into the office. It'll be the first day that people are back. So we'll be back then with the live program. But yeah, this is the lull will be taking place here within the next 2 weeks or so.
Yep. And whatever, we will work around it. So now F13, so Friday the 13th came out with a patch. And so they have offline bots now. So if you can't find any of your friends that are still willing to play Friday the 13th,
nope,
you can play against the computer. And so I have an idea where Firebomb will be for the next 2 months. Also, they increased the max level. So now it was 101. Now it'll be 150. As you get higher, you get more. It says the increase won't just be a number that keeps getting higher as you play more and earn XP. There are cool things that they're going to unlock along the way. So they're creating kind of a progression system of things that unlock throughout these levels, which I think is a very smart thing to do. New for counselors, more clothing coloring options for like Mitch and Fox, and a couple more counselors that weren't ready to speak about yet. So I don't know if that means maybe more counselors. New for Jason, get ready to murder pesky counselors in new ways. So they're coming up with some new kills. They're doing the holiday event. So this is December 18th, started yesterday through the 23rd. For 4 more days, your chances of rolling a rare or epic perk have been increased. So during that time, you have a better chance of getting a rare or epic perk. And so he's saying, you should hide the points, but of course now this is something that you should be spending now. Starting on the 23rd and running through the 27th, your chances of finding both Pamela and Jarvis tapes is increased. And then finally, from the 23rd and running through January 2nd, you will earn double points. So please note that the CP earned from leveling up is not doubled, but everything else is. So get double points for everything but leveling up.
I feel like you're doing a credit card commercial.
This is on the 18th. This was released yesterday.
I feel like you're doing a credit card commercial. Like, double points on...
Yeah, get your double points.
Double points when you purchase at gas station.
Special, better chance of getting a little kickback.
Yeah, there you there you go. Now with Friday the 13th, we'll have to get back to this here in 2 weeks. They do have a roadmap out for Christmas, so we'll reevaluate that coming up here on January 2nd, our first live show of the year. But they do have a roadmap, and I believe they've done. I believe they've done it, but we'll reconvene on that in January and go through their updates and see if they really knocked it out of the park with what they had between. Well, I don't remember when it was between whatever and I guess it was a Halloween. Whenever they announced the roadmap between Halloween, they knocked it out of the park. They did.
It was like Thanksgiving through Halloween up till now. Like I think they announced it around Thanksgiving. Or no, I mean, it was before Halloween. So
it was up to Halloween.
The beginning of October?
I don't know. It was all I know is it was from some date to Halloween, from Halloween to Christmas. That's all I know.
Yeah.
And then there was
I think they announced it like in the beginning of October, and then they've matched everything, if not surpassed everything up to this point. So
so I'm excited to re-look at that in the new year and say, hey, you did it again, 2 for 2 on roadmaps, which we've seen what happens with games with roadmaps. They typically fall off the wagon.
Yep, and these guys, quick. I mean, they've been doing it, so that's a really good sign. All right. And so the final thing, I'll skim over Unturned. I think that's the last thing. We did talk a little bit about Islands of Nine in the beginning, and I have a dev update that we'll have a link to in the show notes if you're interested in reading more about that and some of the upcoming things. But in Unturned 3.22.1.0, and this was put out on the 15th, he added a festive mystery gift presents to drop and include Santa's sleigh skin. They added the festive Germany map, and they added several community-created festive cosmetics to the stockpile. And then they added a compare flags and time of day NPC condition types. So that's more for people doing mods. And then other than that, just some fixes and tweaks. But if in Unturned you're looking for cosmetics, you're more than welcome to go check that out. Get some of your Christmas-themed things, and also the Germany map. So that is pretty much it. So it's winter. So it says winter is coming to Germany. Festive Germany is now available, featuring the coalition's decorations prior to their downfall in blizzards to spice things up. So special Christmas themed map.
Good. Look forward to it.
All right. So we're not doing current players, correct?
No, unfortunately, I do not have the resources available. I literally, when I load up a new web page on here, it like kicks the stream off for a number of seconds because I run out of processing power. So it would not, current players would not be possible this week. And unfortunately, I cannot play back the tip of the week intro because the system will not allow. It's like when I tried to play the Culling video, it just kind of threw it all to hell. So Brian, in my best announcing voice, I will say, and ladies and gentlemen, here is Brian Aldridge with tip of the week.
Thank you very much. That was a great intro. So this week, I'm talking about the forest, and I wanted to give just kind of a little bit of a strategy tip on dealing with the forest, because this game is not about getting to fighting zombie or mutants right away, and it's not about day one exploring as much of the island as you can. This game is a strategy game, and it's a game that's about waiting for the right moment. So it's important that initially you get that base built and you get your character prepared before you go out and engage enemies and explore the environment. So one thing that you can do to help you get out there and be a little bit more safe in the beginning is they actually have camouflage in there. So if you can find mud around the map, you can actually cover yourself in mud, and that actually helps you hide from mutants. Another thing is that the zombies or the mutants, I'm trying to use the right terms because they consider these mutants. The mutants are more sensitive to sound. So when you're moving around, that's one thing that you have to be careful of, is making noises as you walk, stepping on things that make noise. So if you can, you cover yourself with mud. That will visually help you. You can hide in bushes. That makes a difference with these zombies. and then be very careful about how you walk and where you walk to be able to try to protect yourself from activating the zombies. And of course, take your time, because you don't have to go and explore the whole map day one. You need to make sure you get to where you're comfortable with your materials. You have everything you need to be able to go and heal yourself, protect yourself with different weapons, explosives, things like that. And then after you feel comfortable with that, start exploring the island and the caves. So that is tip of the week.
Alrighty, Brian, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. So
giveaway time.
Are we good on everything? We'll do the game giveaway.
I believe so. I'm excited
all right.
for this
So
one.
let's go ahead and roll for this. And congratulations.
Reroll.
Well, win. Repick.
Bat
chain puller.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations, Bat Chain Puller. I will get you a copy of Gary's mod. It will change your life.
Yeah, we'll verify here. He seems perplexed. He did have to enter the giveaway, so I'm not sure why he's so shocked that he won. But that's the way it rolls. Now, if you're missing out on this,
he did enter. Yeah, he did enter.
Yeah, I'm aware. You're missing out on a whole bunch of great stuff if you're not tuning in live. My haircut is being criticized. This is what you're missing out on if you're not tuning into the broadcast.
In the chat is real.
Yeah, it is, and that's fine because I don't care. But you're missing out on this stuff if you're not tuning in. So we're live every. I do go to Supercuts, Gadlo. That's a fact.
He guessed it.
I mean, it's fine. Where else does it? Do you think I'd go anywhere else for a haircut besides a place like Supercuts? So you should tune in live if you're missing out on this banter. We have a great time. We're live every Tuesday. We won't be live next Tuesday, but we're live every other Tuesday. We have been for the past 153 weeks here on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/infection podcast. You can tune in live for that. We're live from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. We have a pre-show and a post-show, which has been said by many people to be better than the actual show itself. So
yes,
I'm just saying, that's kind of the deal. Ross is coming into the broadcast now. We're about to wrap up the program, but strolling in right
just
at the
in
end,
time,
as he does literally each and every week. We are live between 7 and 9 Eastern. So you're missing out on a lot. And yes, guys, I did actually shave the neck beard today to do the show because I got criticized last time for that. So it really is ridiculous. But you're missing out on a lot of fun here. So you can hopefully tune in every Tuesday here on our twitch.tv channel. Alrighty, Brian. Overwatch is our game of the week. We'll be playing that this Friday and next Friday. Since we won't see you before next week, before Christmas, Brian, I'd like to say Merry Christmas to you and your family, and I hope you have
Merry Christmas to you.
Well, thank you very much. And where can people find you on the net? Oh, and your painting. You've got a new painting up on the wall.
Yes, so this is a nice river scene with red leaves falling from a tree, and of course, all the ground is red. It's a red and white with a nice bridge in the background.
Yeah.
And some trees with the reflections in the water that you probably can't see on the webcam.
Probably not. But I close my eyes and I feel like I'm living.
You can picture them in your mind.
Yeah, I mean, I look outside the window and that's about what it looks like. Everything's snow covered in the bare trees. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So if you want to find me at Boise Computer on Twitter, and if you want to check out my blog, biteoftech.com, of course, I would encourage you, since we won't be speaking with you for like 2 weeks, as far as live, come into our Discord because it's a great place to suggest news topics, to banter back and forth, play some games with everybody, and it's a lot of fun. So if you can, go to our website, infectionpodcast.com. On the right-hand side, it says join server, nice green button, and that will get you connected to our Discord. If you want live notifications of when the show is going to start, just join our Steam group. There's a link on the website for that. And of course, go check us out on all the different platforms for our Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and our podcast. So thank you very much.
Yes, and Brian, thank you very much for all the work that you do with the show. For everybody that doesn't know, maybe you're a new listener, Brian does all of the show note prep for the show. I don't like doing show prep. Brian does the show prep, and he really really bails me out here every week. So, Brian, thank you very much. And we're rolling on to our third year of the broadcast coming up in late July or maybe the first week of February. Or excuse me, first
January, you mean?
January, yes. Late January, early February, I think. So 3 years we've been doing this. It's been
yes.
Originally the H1Z1 podcast, which, by the way, this sign is still on the wall. Infection, the H1Z1 podcast that our good buddy Lance had printed up in days past. So thank you very much, Brian, and again, Merry Christmas, and talk to you in 2018.
Yep, sounds good.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, follow us on Twitter. That's a good way to get in touch with us. If you have, for example, Ross, we were just bashing on him earlier. He tweeted out he saw some bug in PUBG where he was getting stuck in somewhere in the map, and he tweeted us and the PUBG team. So do that. That kind of keeps up to date with what's going on. You can follow us on Twitter at InfectionCast. And, of course, visit our website, infectionpodcast.com. Ladies and gentlemen, you can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We'll see you next time for Infection.